Hi, this is Samantha Clark, and this is my presentation on Chapter 5 and 7, Oral and Vocabulary Development. So first to talk about oral language development, I'm going to talk a little bit about the teacher's responsibility, but a couple facts is that the ability to listen and speak are the first skills to be achieved before reading and writing. Many languages don't even have reading and writing systems. So it is just natural for language to be heard and spoken. And from what we've learned in class, language learners often hear from listening first and then they learn to speak. But reading and writing are not necessarily learned afterwards. They're just a different kind of language learning. So they can be taught at the same time. So students need to be aware of contexts of language use. This has to do with formal or informal, social or professional. We need to be able to teach our students social competence with language as well. And teachers must provide social emotional support. We can do this by having home groups in the classroom where students feel comfortable, and also just overall providing a comfortable classroom for learning. In which we are supporting our students and students feel comfortable asking questions. There are some strategies for teaching oral language development. Often anything that requires conversation or speaking. This could be in songs or in dramatizations of stories and poems, show and tell, choral reading, riddles and jokes. But oral development has to be emphasized in all subjects, so even in your math class, it is important for students to speak to each other about the problems and develop their oral skills. We need to utilize scaffolding when students are first starting to speak. So the phrasings, learning the basic syntax and how to plug in things where it's important for us to give our students structure when they have no idea about English syntax yet. And then utilize rubrics to assess goals. Us as teachers need to have consistent goals for our students and an accurate way to assess them. So vocabulary development, how to successfully implement it. A major fact is students are expected to learn 18,000 words by the time they graduate high school, which sounds insane. But throughout language development, this can be achieved. Students need to learn high-frequency words, so words that are often used in language, general academic words, words that are used across subjects, such as analyze, describe, things like that. And then domain-specific words or content area words are words that are only used in one subject, such as volcano or meteorite. That wouldn't really be talked about in a, let's say, the English class that's talking about analyzing poetry. So 5 tactics for doing this is 1, tapping into prior knowledge. That is always key. 2, offer repetitions of new words in meaningful contexts. So students often need to learn in 3 different contexts is what's often thought in order for them to fully understand a word and how it can be used in real life. And then provide opportunities for deeper processing of word meaning through demonstrations, direct experiences, pictures, concrete examples, and applications in real life. So any sensory and applicable way for this word to be used. Engage students with newly learned words as they explain concepts and ideas in writing and speaking. So this is more often used in an English class, but definitely can be used in subject matter classes. And then 5, provide explicit instruction on strategies. So not just the implicit exposure, but they need to be able to independently understand how to use new words. And so to continue this, we need to utilize both kinds of word learning. The incidental that we were talking about, exposure in context, and explicit is the direct instruction. Learn about students' background knowledge so you can utilize it. Assess before, during, and after to assure that you're doing an effective job in the classroom. And then there are strategies such as total physical response that you can use to connect to context, word cards in which there's a sensory image on the other side, word wheels that show the relation of words, things like that. And then these are just some general guidelines to help us teach vocabulary to ELs. We can act out words, preview the words before jumping into the texts, build on that background knowledge. So it kind of doesn't make sense if students already understand the concept of a word in their own language to try to reteach it to them. So it's okay to use their first language. And then teach basic words explicitly, like we use this right before we say something is singular. Sometimes you need to do that. And then provide frequent repetitive exposure in different contexts like we talked about, and set aside specific time for vocabulary teaching. It doesn't always need to be integrated into the lessons. Okay, that was very fast, but thank you for following me. I'll see you in class.